Good morning, it's Wednesday of week 5 and we're back for more news and entertainment.
Yes, hello, we've got an update on the BDS referendum in week 8.
And we're joined in the studio by Ollie Orton, Scan editor, to discuss the BDS referendum and the rest of this week's on-campus news.
So make sure to stay tuned in for Good Morning Lancaster.
Welcome back, I'm Jack Hill.
And I'm Siri Hampapaw.
We at Good Morning Lancaster decided to find out how aware students are of the upcoming BDF referendum. Here I am with questions on the spine. Do you know what the BDS referendum is in week 8?
No.
Yes. No. I don't.
No.
No.
No. No. No. No. No. No.
No.
And have you had a burrito yet?
No.
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 I haven't.
No.
No.
No. No, I haven't. No. No. No.
No. So not many people had a burrito.
They didn't. I don't think anybody said they had one.
No, I mean, I've had a burrito.
Have you had one? I haven't had one yet.
Yeah.
They're quite expensive. But
They are very
was yours good,
expensive.
Siri?
It was very good, and I was very impressed that they had vegan options.
Vegan? Oh,
there.
you're vegan, so
I'm
good for
vegan,
you.
and I actually asked if the wraps were vegan, and I was like, "Is this a silly question? Are the wraps vegan?" They were like, "No, it's not a silly question at all." And the service was just so lovely.
Is it good?
I was very impressed.
Did you wait in much of a queue?
There wasn't actually much of a queue, surprisingly,
No.
and that probably explains why not many people have had a burrito.
Yeah, very true, very true. Yeah.
Yeah. So now it's time for the news this week. On Friday, every undergraduate student received an email from the Deputy Dean, Andrew Lucas. The email was intended for one particular student, but was sent in error to 9,000 undergraduate students at Lancaster University. The email contained details for a meeting regarding the student's conduct and outlined the rules that the student was suspected to have broken, including one that could be considered criminal.
Former head of LP&M, John Sanderson, was going to be interviewed by Scan yesterday but pulled out at the last minute. John Sanderson, after his previous interview with Scan, ended up on the BBC's Watchdog. With no news available yet, whether these students have or haven't received their deposits back was quite concerning.
LUSU sent out a squeak newsflash email yesterday inviting students to be part of the campaign teams for the upcoming BDS referendum. As Tom Stapleton told us last week, the referendum will be held in week 8 alongside JCR and cross-campus officer elections. The campaign teams will be led by students with full-time officers overseeing the debate, but not polarising themselves between the yes and no campaigns. The wording of the question has also been announced, and there will be an open debate in Faraday Lecture Theatre at 5:15 on Friday, 20th November.
Tomorrow night, the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, is visiting Lancaster to speak at an event. Joining him at this event will be local MP Cat Smith and other members of the Labour Party. There has been no confirmation as to whether he will be visiting campus, and tickets for his event have already sold out.
The way that people are applying to university is to change in 2017. Under developments outlined by David Cameron this week, all applications made to higher education through UCAS system will be anonymous. The government has said this will help to tackle the danger of unconscious bias when people are applying to university.
And in other news, Cumbrian police have launched a campaign to try and reduce the number of time-wasting 999 calls. Part of the motivation for this campaign is phone calls asking 999 services what temperature to cook a chicken at, and even asking for taxi numbers. Chief Superintendent Steve Johnson said he hoped the campaign would make people think before picking up the phone and dialing 999, which could prevent urgent calls getting through. So Ollie, we're joined by Ollie Orton, Scan editor. We're going to start off by talking to you about the BDS referendum that's in our news today. Do you want to start off by just giving a quick overview and how we got to this point?
So basically, from last year's FTO team, there was a union council towards the end of term 3 last year, and our old president, Laura Clayson and Salman, also brought up the issue of the conflict going on with Israel and Palestine. And their views were that Israel's alleged multitude of human rights and international law violations meant that we, as a students' union, shouldn't be getting involved with them. And they proposed a referendum to be held towards the end of term 1, which would give students a clear voice and say, should we support a boycott of Israeli products, Israeli companies, etc., in support of Palestine?
Right, Ollie, what companies are actually involved in the boycott? Do you know?
There are quite a few involved at the moment. The main ones that we will be asked to vote on, and the actual question that's being proposed at the moment is, should LUSU adopt a BDS policy and boycott the following companies? And they are a dates company, SodaStream, Eden Springs Bottled Water, Israeli Wines, HP, Caterpillar, Volvo, Hyundai, G4S and Ahava Cosmetics.
Right, there's a range of companies, there's quite a few there actually, there's more than I thought.
And you notice as well, quite a few names that I think people will be very familiar with on campus jump out there. So it's clearly a very big issue that all students are going to be involved in here.
I think Coca-Cola was one of the items that could potentially be banned, and this might cause a bit of controversy within the student population. Have you heard anything from them and their general views?
I haven't. I mean, we went onto Alex Square the other day to do our regular feature Answers at Alex Square, and we put the concept of the referendum for students. We said to them, we're not interested in how you're going to vote, we just want to know your thoughts on the actual concept of it. And the results are very interesting because we didn't speak to one person who agreed with the concept of the referendum being held. They said the union, shouldn't be getting involved in issues like this. Some people said it was ultra vires and that it's completely beyond the union's powers to get involved. Others were saying, we're an international university. Are we not just ostracising not an insignificant number of Israeli students that we have on campus? I mean, we've got to consider here what's going through their minds when they see this being proposed.
Absolutely. What's the actual wording of the BDS referendum? Like, what does it stand for? Can you give us an overview?
Basically, it's discussing how we can. It calls for boycotts, divestment, and sanctions against Israel. Mainly until it changes its policy against people living in the West Bank and Gaza Strip and Palestine. It's obviously a very difficult issue for the Students' Union because there's going to be a lot of very intense views on both sides of the debate, and it's up to them to make sure that both sides are represented fairly and that everyone gets the information that they need to make an informed vote on this.
What did you think of when you did your thing in Alexander Square, when you asked students, what did you think the general consensus was? Did you feel like people knew about it? Because you might have seen in RVT that we had one person said they knew about the BDS thing. Maybe that was our sampling. What did you think?
Broadly similar to what you've come up with. I mean, we had a lot of people, we read it out to them and they said, I'm speechless. I mean, I haven't heard about this, but I can't believe I haven't heard about it, if you know what I mean, because it's such a big issue, and you've got to kind of consider whether the university should be publishing this, the union should be publishing this more. It's all well and good putting it in Squeak, but how many people scroll down to the end of Squeak? I'd say it's probably not that many. So it will spread by word of mouth, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It will be obviously in next week's scan. We'll have an article about it. It's obviously going to be publicised on LA1 and Bailrig, and already I know there are plans in place for us to live blog the actual debate when it comes around. But at the same time, not enough people know, it seems, at the moment.
It's not. This wasn't just passed this week, was it? It was passed last term. This referendum.
Yes, so it was actually passed by the previous FTO team. So it's one of their policies, but because it was passed so late, they couldn't, string it into any voting that was going on. So it's had to wait until this time, and they bundled it, as you said before, all together with the JCR and cross-campus elections. It must be difficult for the current FTO team, to have something like this put on them when it wasn't necessarily anything that they would have brought forward in their own personal agendas to the job. So it's difficult for everyone, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, it is difficult. Understandable. In other news, talk about burrito on campus. Have you had a burrito, Ollie, yet?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I was very impressed.
Were you?
I mean, I've always been a big fan of Joe Burrito. I haven't tried. Have you seen I think it's like 3 foot long challenge one that they do in town?
I haven't seen that. I've had the nachos, but I actually haven't had a burrito from Burrito.
You have to do it in half an hour or something like that, and only 5 people have ever done it, and someone travelled from America to do it. I haven't gone that far. I'm not that keen on it, but I do like it, and I think it's great that they've opened on campus. Mm-hmm. I hope they do really well. Yeah. So.
What are your views on Costa? It's recently opened on campus. It's very popular. I've been, and the queue has been huge at times. Have you been yourself?
I have.
You have.
I'm not sure about this. I mean, I really like Costa. I'm not sure if we needed it. That's the thing. We already have one in management, and we have one in county. And we spoke to people. We asked them this question in Alex Square as well, and they said there were mixed views. Some people were like, "Oh, I love Costa. Any Costa is great for me." Others were saying, "What will this do to college bars, particularly county, which has kind of I know a few people in county. They've said that their bar has really picked up since they started selling Costa there." Mm-hmm. Will people still go to county to get their Costa when they can get it in the square?
That's true.
It is very true.
We mentioned a bit earlier that UCAS is becoming anonymous. How do you feel about this new system?
I think it's only positive, really, and it's part of a wider initiative from the government to tackle discrimination against gender and race. I just think that I don't see any problems with it, because realistically, why do we need to see a name on a UCAS form? It's going to make no difference.
It doesn't have to affect the application, does it?
Yeah. So I think it's a really positive step, and I'm quite impressed that it's being taken.
Yeah,
great. Could we ask you now about the John Sanderson, the LPNM?
Yes.
Can you talk to us about that?
So I think everyone has now seen the watchdog investigation against him. Mm-hmm. We thought we would put to him various questions. We give him an opportunity to follow it up. There are quite a few things that we still don't know. Deposits, for example.
Yes.
Have they been paid back or not? Mm-hmm. Unconfirmed. We're also just going to ask him about the future of One Stop, his new letting agents, how the business model works, how he's going to avoid, or at least attempt to avoid, what happened last time. Sadly, he pulled out of the interview at last minute yesterday.
I've seen that. It's unfortunate, really.
I have no more news on that. He has said he has said that he will reschedule for next week.
Brilliant.
So hopefully next Wednesday I'll
Fingers
be able to come back and give you some more news, but nothing at the moment, I'm afraid.
Okay, so finally, could you tell us a little bit more about the Dean Andrew Lucas situation with the email?
Famous campus news, this.
This is major. Well, I mean, I'm sure we were all there on Friday, just waiting for the weekend to come, and then the email popped up in our inbox, and as soon as I saw it, I thought, something's a bit iffy
gone wrong.
here.
I panicked. I thought it was going to be for me. I was like, what have you done wrong?
People said this. Apparently, quite a few people have emailed Andrew Lucas back and said, is this meant for me? Or so. As soon as I saw it go up and overheard, I thought this is going to blow up.
People were like, did you get the email? I was like, oh, that email.
So that went out, disciplinary against a particular student. then they sent again an apology asking everyone to delete underlined. It was very threatening email, that one. And then we were reliably told that Andrew Lucas went home early that day, and I think it's fair enough, really, after a gaffe like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Could this be considered a breach of data protection?
Arguably, yes.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that the student in question then went and gave an interview to an online website, freely talking about his crimes and everything, it probably indicates that he's not too concerned about it. But if you look at the wider issue, there probably is one here, because should it be that easy to send what is a very confidential email to the whole undergraduate population? I mean, I've been told that they're looking at implementing or fail-safe things, so putting an email delay when you click on undergraduates.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, so you have a minute to undo your sending of an email, which could work, or just an "Are you sure?" when you click on send to all undergraduates.
To double check through the email to make sure you haven't done that. Because I think what he did, for those that don't know, I think he carbon copied, CC'd the whole undergraduate population.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
A bit of a silly mistake to do.
It's not great.
It's not. Well, thank you for joining us, Ollie, on the show. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. Tonight, is County are hosting Live at the Oak from 7:30.
Tomorrow evening is the open mic night at Grad.
And also, tomorrow evening in Lancaster Square is the Fireworks Spectacular.
Afterwards, County are holding a quiz in County Bar.
Sunday is Remembrance Sunday, wherein a minute's silence will be held in Alexandra Square.
And also, Carter Shield returns down at the Sports Hall on Sunday with dodgeball from 1 p.m.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week with more Good Morning Lancaster.